Okay, all right.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you for bearing with us. This is the second time this morning we've had electricity problems, and maybe did some problem with it. Wow.
Want to take a short break? Mr.
Yes.
All right, control room. I'm going to do a countdown if you're ready.
Start over?
3,
Okay, here.
2, 1.
Get myself all untangled. The Candy County Board of Commissioners is now back in session. I'd like to apologize to those people who may be live streaming this or seeing this on YouTube later. We had a power outage. This is our second one this morning, and we lost volume. So I just want you to know we're back in session now, and we already said our pledge and took a moment of silence for Ukraine, and I am going to proceed now with our consent agenda. And we have 2 items on our consent agenda, and that is the audits and warrants, as well as the minutes from our February 15th meeting. And if there's no questions or comments,
I will move the consent agenda.
a motion by Commissioner Nissen to approve the consent agenda. Is there a second?
I'll second it, Mr. Chair.
A second by Commissioner Emdek. Thank you. Any further discussion or comments? Hearing none and no request to pull any of the consent agenda items, I will call for the vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Passed unanimously. Thank you very much. Next, at this point, I would like to call on Candy County Sheriff Eric Holeen and Emergency Management Director Stephanie Felt. Good morning.
Good morning. We're here presenting 2 different grants, and I'll let Stephanie talk more on hers. And I'll just talk on the Candy County Sheriff's side first. When you look at water patrol or rescue and recovery operations for the Sheriff's Office, we are responsible by state statute to take care of that. A lot of fire departments have joined on board as part of our search and rescue and recovery committees and groups. And one of the things that we're looking to do is utilize them for some of the recovery operations primarily, and then also some of the rescue side of things. With that being said, we're looking to get life jackets for all fire departments and then also rescue. So when you look at the cost or expenses to that, having reflective, high visibility life jackets, we submitted a grant to Candy County Cooperative for that and received the amount of $2,000. So on my half, I need a motion and an approval to accept that grant. in order to proceed with that. And we end up being the fiscal host for the other entities.
Okay, any questions of Sheriff Folin? If not, I'll entertain a motion to accept that grant.
I'll so move.
A motion by Commissioner Gardner.
I'll second.
A second by Commissioner Anderson. Any further questions or comments?
Yeah, could I just say one thing?
Yes.
Yeah, so one thing you learn about in life when you're on different boards is that these things are considered kind of like turnout gear, right? And they only have a life expectancy or of a certain period. I don't know if life jackets, if it's 5 years or 2 years or 3 years, but it's good to see that somebody is actually donating and helping and that they understand that there's a need for this sort of for life jackets, I guess, and different gear. So thanks.
Absolutely.
Okay, any other questions, comments? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Pass unanimously. Thank you, Sheriff Folin. And now, Ms. Felt, Director Felt of Emergency Management, and you have some others.
Yep, we're looking for permission to accept $3,000 from Candy Power, and our request is going for large vehicle extrication. So we all know that rescue is paged for all the, a majority of the extrication that happens with our motor vehicle crashes. Now, however, their crashes don't just happen to smaller vehicles, they happen to RVs, they happen to school buses, they happen to semi-trailers. So we had the opportunity to bring in an instructor who is going to teach us the best way to safely extricate children from a school bus crash. So that's something where we don't, rescue does what they do well, but we need to bring in some outside trainers to take it to the next level and make sure we're as safe as possible.
Thank you. Questions or comments from the commissioners? I know we've always been supportive of, especially for the rescue squad and police and fire, that they have all the tools in the toolboxes that get the job done, and they do a great job. But at this point, I'll entertain a motion to approve acceptance of that donation. That's very nice of that group to donate that.
So move, Mr. Chair.
A motion by Commissioner Emdek, a second by
I'll second.
Commissioner Nissen. Any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll vote. Call for the vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Well, passed unanimously. Thank you very much for bringing this forward.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
What?
And now I'll put my mask on. It's kind of hard to talk with this, but this is going to be an interesting update, I believe. We have Director of Candy County Health and Human Services, Jenny Lippert, and as we talked about, this is the time to review the mask requirement that we had, and would you please proceed?
Yes, good morning, commissioners, members of the board, and those that are watching and streaming live. So I'm happy to report today that things are starting to slow down with the COVID-19 response, and we are seeing a positive decline in the transmission of COVID-19 here in our county. I have some statistics for you and some additional information that will help you guys make your decision as you're relooking at the mask mandate today. So as of yesterday, February 28th, Candy County has had a grand total of 13,218 COVID-19 cases. We have seen, unfortunately, 134 deaths locally related to COVID. As of yesterday, we had 73 active cases, and that is a huge decline from where we were. So back in January 28th, our county had about 554 active cases. So we are significantly down, and that trend has been continuing to decline. So we feel really good about that. COVID hospitalizations, they have also significantly dropped. So back in mid-January, statewide, there were roughly 1,553 COVID individuals that were hospitalized throughout the state. As of February 22nd, this number was down to 622 individuals statewide. So again, correlation between the active cases that we're seeing, the hospitalization, all going in a downward decline, which we like to see. According to the CDC and the COVID risk by county, anybody can go on the CDC website and find this. Candy County has moved down to a medium risk. And being in a medium risk, it doesn't state anything about wearing masks indoors. That only applies to those that are in the higher risk categories. We do continue to promote vaccinations for those who have, one, either opted out of the COVID-19 vaccine or those who are eligible for the boosters and have not received a booster yet. Just to give you some data on vaccinations and where we're at compared to the state. So overall, the state of Minnesota and those who are 16 years and older, there has been 79% of the state's population that has received one dose of the vaccine and 74% that have completed the entire series. Now, in relation to our county specifically, we have had 68% of our county's population receive at least one dose, and then 64% that have completed the entire series. So again, that's still a push for us, but the numbers are continuing to still move up in the right direction. Just to let you know, through just public health alone to date, we have given 8,668 primary series of COVID-19, 555 boosters, for a grand total of 9,223 COVID-19 vaccinations just through our public health entity and our staff. Vaccinations, for folks listening and watching and for your information to spread the word to the public, vaccinations are still available through healthcare providers, locally through Caris Health, and then we are continuing to offer COVID vaccinations through public health. We are switching our COVID vaccination clinics. We are going to incorporate them with our bi-monthly regular vaccination clinics. So we will hold clinics on the first and third Monday from 1 p.m. to 2 p.m. So still have availability, but just due to the decreasing numbers, we've had to make some internal changes. And then again, there's some participating pharmacies that also have the vaccine. Testing continues to be a push. We are continuing to test our employees and also extending that out to some family members of our employees, because we haven't seen a huge increase in the testing inquiries that we've been receiving at the county. Pharmacies also have testing, and there's a plethora of at-home test kits that folks can get. And I would encourage anybody to go onto the Minnesota Department of Health website if you need to locate an at-home test kit. We also have some at-home test kits through public health. So if anyone has barriers to testing, you can call our public health office. Again, that's 320-231-7800, and we can get you set up with an at-home test kit to bring home. We also have some KN99 masks available for anybody that would be interested. So we still have some of those from our big mask distribution event that we held. Our health and medical meetings, those are routine meetings. Those have sunset. We don't feel that there is a need for us to continue those, just with the lack of new information or things that we need to oversee with COVID. Also, our weekly meetings with Caris Health and that partnership, those have also started to sunset, and we no longer have those unless there would be a need to get those back up and running. And then our state COVID calls have started to decrease as well. So again, we're very lucky, and I'm happy to report that we're seeing a decline and actually starting to work in a positive direction. So mask mandates, if you haven't seen, but a lot of mask mandates throughout the state of Minnesota and also throughout the country in the last week or so, they have started to eliminate those and move away from any mask mandates. So today it would be my recommendation from public health that effective immediately, the countywide mask mandate would go away. So that's my recommendation. And I just personally want to thank you all as commissioners for supporting the work of public health and promoting all of the different needed initiatives that we've brought forward to the community to try to mitigate the COVID-19 situation, and especially just the last couple months when we've seen the different variants and the surge here locally. And then I also just want to take some time to thank our public, again, for their patience and support through the work that we've had to do in public health and trying to best meet the needs of our community and keep everyone safe.
Well, thank you very much, Director Lippert. I want to thank you and thank Public Health and of course, Caris Health as well, helping to direct us through this whole thing. And I strongly believe the work done by Public Health has made a difference in lives. and a difference in hospitalizations. And it's really exciting to see things going our way. We're not over this yet, but it's a big step to take. And I would just like to say, continue to social distance, continue to be careful. When you see bald-headed old people or whatever, please social distance. But I think we still have to be alert and wear a mask if you wish to wear a mask. Okay. Commissioner Gardner, please, you have a comment, I believe.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just to clarify, the mask mandate that we're talking about was simply, it was not a county-wide mask mandate, but it was for the use of masks within our county buildings and facilities. I agree that it was necessary, it was prudent, and I think that going forward, I think I agree. I do agree with your recommendation, and I would move that we end that mask mandate at this time.
A motion by Commissioner Gardner. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
I think everybody wants a second. Yeah,
He who
you were
talks first.
Commissioner.
I'll
You
second
seconded it, yes. Okay. Any further discussion or comments from the board? No. Thank you for the updates and keeping track of all the details so we can get to this point and make a decision. And we've been hearing from you. Pardon me?
Being dramatic.
Call the question?
I'm going to. Yes. Okay, I'm going to. But I just want to say thank you for all the updates to this point. And at this point, I will call for the vote. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Passed unanimously. Thank you very much. Next, I'd like to call on Candy County Public Works Director, Mr. Mel Odens.
Mr. Chair, members of the board, I'm over here on the side in case you're looking for where the voice is coming from. We've got 3 bed lettings today. The first one is going to be County Road 4, and that is the 2.4 miles basically from Lake Lillian northerly to our County Road 83. And as a note, this will receive bids today, and then it's our recommendation to award in 2 weeks. It'll give us time to go through all the quantities, all the financing. And so what we'll be reading them in alphabetical order. And so with that, I'll begin, and we got 3 bids for this. The first bid is from Central Specialties out of Alexandria. And one other thing, we're just going to read totals. We're not going to read all the bonds and all the addendums and all that stuff. We'll just verify all those things as when we go through.
Thank you.
So the first bid is Central Specialties out of Alexandria, Minnesota. Their bid total is $1,711,626.05. 1711626.05. The next bid is Dunick Incorporated out of Princeburg. Their bid is $2,337,310.65. 2337310.65. And the last bid is R&G Construction out of Marshall, Minnesota. Their bid is $1,475,375.85. 1475375.85. That concludes the bidding for the County Road 4 grading.
Okay.
Now, Mr. Chair, we're going to go into our Reflectorized pavement marking bid. It's an annual maintenance bid. It's latex. Just as a reminder for the board, we stripe latex a third of the county every year in all the urban districts outside of Wilmer. And so we divide the county into thirds. And so this is the northeastern part of the county this year. All right. So Reflectorized pavement marking. So the first bid is Sir Lancelot Incorporated out of Edina, Minnesota. Their total bid is $111,020. 111,020.00. And the next one is Traffic Marking Services out of Maple Lake, Minnesota. Their bid is $106,900 even, 106,900.00. That's it for striping. And then the last one we have is our dust control, our chloride application. And we do about 52 miles in sum every year. And we do this out of the normal maintenance budget for us, so.
Mr. Odens, as you are going through this, and these two last bids, we're going to, you're going to look them over and you're going to come back in this morning yet?
Yeah, it's our intent to review, Jeremy will take the bids back and review them, and then we'll, at some point later in the meeting, if we're still in session, we would like to award those today.
Okay.
So the first bid for the chloride is All States Pavement Recycling and Stabilization out of Rogers, Minnesota. Their bid is $225,456, 225,456.00. The next one is Crow River Construction out of New London, Minnesota. Their bid is $193,200, 193,200. The next one is Envirotech Services out of Greeley, Colorado. Their bid is $218,400, 218,400. And the last one is Knife River Corporation out of Sauk Rapids, Minnesota. Their bid is $206,472 even, 206,472.00. Mr. Chair, that concludes the bidding, and we will keep you posted on when we're ready to award. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Odens, and we'll work you into the agenda as soon as you're ready. So since there's people in the audience too, if they want to wait around, that we'll get back to this as soon as possible. Thank you. And is,
Mel?
yeah. And Mr. Odens, you're up next. You want me to change it, move on from the agendas, or? Okay.
I better get over.
Are you going with the overhead, Mel?
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay, Mr. Director of Candy County Public Works, Mr. Mel Odens, that you have a resolution number 2022-13 concerning approval of town road accounts payments.
Yep, Mr. Chair, members of the board, every year, there's money that the state gives the county to pass through to the townships. Right now, we have about 727 miles of township roads that have to meet a certain minimum eligibility, and we do check those periodically for auditing purposes. But basically, the road needs to be open to the public at least 8 months a year. And then what I do is I certify those miles, I send it into the state. The state takes the mileage, and in this case, in Candy County, they enter it at the formula, and the 60% of the funds goes based on miles, and 40% goes based on population. So it is pass-through money, and that we do. And one thing to note this year is that the the money went up 49% from last year. So the townships are getting a substantial more money than they did last year. Last year, they got about 470,000, and this year it's about 678,000. So, you know, not like it's huge, but any money will help, more of the gravel road, if you will. There's a few townships that have more paved roads, but, pretty substantial. So anyway, it's my recommendation to, approve the mileage, approve the payment, and my recommendation to authorize the chair and auditor to sign the resolution on behalf of the county.
I would entertain a motion.
I'll make that motion.
A motion by Commissioner Anderson. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Commissioner Endek. Any further questions or discussion of Mr. Oden's? Or any comments about the proposal? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Passed unanimously. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Mr. Chair, if you could take a 5-minute break, then we can get the computer set up.
Sure, you bet. We are going to take a 5-minute recess at this point. Thank you. I hereby call the Candido County Board of Commissioners back in session. At this point, I'd like to call on Mr. Luke Johnson with Meeker County Co-op and with some vibrant background information. Please proceed.
All right.
Welcome, Luke.
First of all, I want to thank everyone for inviting me over here today. Larry extended the invitation last week, and really appreciate being able to be here and discuss a little bit of history, background on Meeker Cooperative and Vibrant Broadband, and continued relationship as we move forward with the Reconnect program. I did drop a cooperative data sheet for each one of you. It gives you a little bit of statistics. Hot off the press. Just got them done yesterday for 2021 data.
Okay.
So gives you just a little bit of a background of where we are, who we are, and where we came from. So with that, real brief background on Meeker Cooperative. We've been around since 1935. We own 14 substations, cover in 6 different counties. So we have Candido, High, Stearns County, Wright, McLeod, Meeker, and touch into Renville as well. We're governed by 9 board of directors, and in August of 2018, we had 28 employees. Once we went into broadband, we needed more employees. We've grown to 44 now. We cover approximately 7,800 members, covering through our electric territory, 9,000 electric services. We do have 1,965 miles of electric line. That puts us approximately 4 members per mile with our electric territory. We're also one of the owners of Heartland Security Services and Star Energy. Star Energy does a lot of our engineering and safety coordination, and Heartland Security Services, if some of you may be aware, they cover this area, central Minnesota, with home security and business security. So how we got started in broadband in 2015, we were part of some Blandon meetings regarding broadband and started taking a look at things a little bit closer as we move forward. 2016 to 17, did a feasibility study to bring broadband throughout our electric territory. And at that time, after those feasibility studies were complete, it was very apparent it was not feasible to do 100% fiber deployment throughout our electric territory. So 2017 and 18, we took a look at things again, doing more of a hybrid approach, offering fixed wireless and fiber mix with that. At the same time, Meeker County was also doing their feasibility study and their broadband, research, what it would take to get broadband providers to step up and bring fiber through the county 100%. So we're working on that pretty much in parallel with the county. They didn't know we were working on it. We knew that they were working on it. And then when it came to the end, Meeker County asked, providers who wanted to step up and do this. The room was quiet. It was unfortunate, but then at that point, we decided that we were going to move forward. In May of 2018, our directors approved us to build a fiber backbone connecting all of our substations. At that point in June of 2018, the decision was made to move forward in offering broadband off of that fiber backbone, doing the hybrid approach with our fixed wireless and our fiber system. So the scope of the project was, like I mentioned, touch those 14 substations, utilizing it for smart grid technology, and then also offer that broadband for the unserved and underserved areas throughout our service territory. So really, some of you may be wondering, what is a hybrid system? So with our system, what we did, it offers the ability to offer fiber to the home, where we have fiber in the ground. So we're doing distribution off of that fiber. But then we're also bringing fiber out to 49 monopoles that we placed out there, 120 feet out of the ground. So we're utilizing that fiber as our backhaul for that fixed wireless. So it's very short distance, 5 to 6 miles is about what our distance is for our tower placement. So it's very close. So an end user can be fed with fixed wireless. As soon as it gets back to that tower, it's on fiber. So we're using that fiber backhaul, not doing a fixed wireless backhaul. So we have 403 miles of fiber with that initial project. Like I mentioned, the 49, 120-foot tall monopoles. Construction began in 2018, late in the year. Most people would think you're crazy starting construction in Minnesota in the fall of 2018. We had a decent winter. I'm not going to say it was ideal, but we were able to push all the way through. It was supposed to be a 2-year build time, and we completed it in just over 1 year. So we were very aggressive in pushing this out, knowing that the need was out there for all of our members. Installation for broadband began in 2019. That was where we started connecting customers at the home. So our speed packages, they have remained unchanged since we deployed, with the exception of our Ultra and Extreme packages. We did reduce the cost on those for the subscribers, but otherwise you can see currently we're running 25.3, 55, 75.7, and 110. Those are our base packages, and now those are scalable, so we can move things up, as needed. We have, business pricing and, corporate pricing, can do transport pricing as well. Just wanted to touch briefly on some funded projects that we've received. Border to Border in 2019, we received funds through the Office of Broadband, cover 7 miles and 206 homes. This is would be straight east of Kimball. We've got Lake Louisa, Lake Maria out there, and that's been a very successful project for us. Also, in 2020, we received broadband border to border funds for a project on Lake Coronis. 1.7 miles of fiber, 33 homes passed in this area. We worked with Meeker County with some of their CARES Act funding in 2020 to tackle a few areas that were in need. One of them being in Manana Township. There's a little subdivision development out there, and they couldn't get fixed wireless service. There was no other provider willing to go out there, so we worked with Meeker County to work with their CARES Act funds and be able to deploy the 3.14 miles of fiber and get those 16 homes covered with fiber. We also worked with Meeker County with CARES Act funding for the east side of Star Lake, connecting 70 homes out there, not fully connected at this point yet, but our take rate is over 50% with this project right now. So, Reconnect. I know that Candy Ojai County has been a huge help for us. I have to thank you for the resolution that you all passed, a couple weeks ago. That's very helpful. It's not a requirement of our Reconnect application, but anything like that, resolutions, letters of support that we can receive, we feel it builds a better case for us. So the application deadline was actually supposed to be on the 22nd of March. Unfortunately, USDA has run into some issues with their portal, not allowing information to go in properly, kicking it out, just not bringing that data in properly. So it got moved out to March 9th. Our intent is to have that application out by the end of this week, have it submitted. Still running into some issues, but we do have a direct line to folks at USDA that are willing to jump on calls and have those direct conversations rather than putting a ticket in. So there's 1.15 billion available. There's grants, loans, and then grant loan combinations. We are looking at doing 100% grant for this area that we're looking at putting the application in for. Reason being, it's not feasible if we don't get 100% grant. Now, with that grant, when you hear 100% grant, we would all think that's everything, 100% of the funds. Unfortunately, it's not the case. So we are putting in 25% of our own funds. USDA, if we're successful, would be giving us 75% of the total project cost. And we'll be meeting that with the symmetrical speeds, the 100, so it's going to be 100% fiber. We will not be doing fixed wireless with this project. And the max that we can receive for loans, or with the grant, is $25 million in total. That is the max that we're going to be at. So, townships impacted. I saw the West Central Tribune, the article came out naming the townships, and I have them laid out here, highlighted, touching those 9 townships. I use the word impacted, because I don't want to say covered, because we aren't, with the area that we are submitting our application for, it's not going to cover 100% of each of these townships. It's going to impact or touch into them. Some townships more than others. I do know, before I move on to the speed test here, I do know, I'm sure many of you were hoping that I would come and show you exactly where I'm going and what it is that we're putting our application in for. Unfortunately, we're in a competitive marketplace. There are other providers out there that could potentially challenge our application once it's submitted. There's a 45-day challenge window after the application deadline closes. So we have to be very careful and cognizant of that, not giving more information than we absolutely have, or than we absolutely can at this time. I'll be more than happy, once we're past that application timeline, to come in and share more details at that time. So our speed test survey, again, the county has been great, and EDC helping us with the speed test survey that we've done. This is going to be something that's going to help us if, in the event that we do have a competitor out there that wants to challenge our application. Having that speed test data shows and proves that you can say that you have whatever speed out there, but the proof is in the pudding. We have all of that captured and all of that data. And that's going to also help when we're successful with this Reconnect application in having where folks are interested, where they're lacking. It'll help us drive, some of our construction plans. So with that, high-speed internet access, let's get the unserved and the underserved. Again, thank you for your past support and your continued support. Very much appreciated. So I'll open it up for questions.
Okay. I'll start with the question. Going back to the speed test, you showed 118 people for Kansas County
So far, as of this
so
morning,
far.
yes.
Is that considered a good number or
Well,
not?
in talking with Kelsey, emailing her back and forth, I believe she was thinking 125 was kind of their goal.
Okay.
And so to see 118 this morning, I know she's running campaigns. We're running campaigns on our Facebook and our webpage, getting the information out, because we cross over. We're, just because we're Meeker Cooperative, we touch into Ojai County. So we're working on that as well. So yeah, Kelsey seemed to be very happy.
I saw
Mr.
a reader board in the city of Ojai this morning
Okay.
advertising a speed test, so
Yeah, good.
they're working there too.
Yeah. So, in the last 30 days, to have 1,300 plus speed tests collected in that short amount of time, that is really, really good. Very happy with that.
Further questions? Commissioner Anderson?
So I don't know if you can answer this at this time, but I was wondering then, when you're planning on doing fiber optic, are you going to build out from the monopoles, or is it
So,
more complex than that, or?
yeah, it is more complex than that. We have our current backbone that we have going to our substations. We're going to have to build another backbone throughout Ojai County, extending off of that initial backbone. And then from there, we'll be putting our distribution fiber in, down each township road.
All right. Now, the people that have line of sight already with your service, will they be able to get fiber optic?
For sure.
They
Absolutely.
will. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that
Now-
makes me happy. So. I mean, I'm completely happy with what you have, but I always want to get faster and better. And we're on the
Right.
outskirts of everything, and it's always like, we're the last to get something. But I'm really excited about this, that you guys are willing to do something like this, and this kind of a scale of a project.
Yes, absolutely. I will say to that, though, if you currently have service, which I know you do with fixed wireless, you probably won't be at top of the list to get you fiber right
Yeah,
out of the gate.
I realize that. But I'll say this, when you guys first came and said you were going to do this original project with the monopoles, I was in, I think, phase 2, which I thought, okay, it's going to be 5-6 years. And I think from about when you first said it in your newsletter, I think it was about 9 months later, you were already ready to go for my area, which I was really impressed by that. So thank you.
It's one thing we pride ourselves in is we deploy fast. We're aggressive. We're still a small company. We're not a huge, company that we have to have 10 signatures, to sign off to make something happen. So we like to mobilize fast.
Yeah.
Okay, Commissioner Imdek. had a
You
question.
touched on the townships, going back to the map that you had there, and you said doesn't necessarily mean they're fully covered, but they'll be impacted. Can you expand on that
Yeah.
a bit? And what
me back
does
up
that
to-
look like?
Let me back up to that slide. Okay. So I'm just going to pick a township out. This isn't the way that it necessarily is. I'm just going to pick a township. Let's pick Burbank because it kind of sticks up there and sticks out a little bit, easy for us. So let's just say that
Bank there, I think.
10% of that township may or may not be covered with the area, with what we could put in. And the main reason for that is we had to stay under 6 residential homes per square mile. So that was one of the requirements to keep us to have to allow us to have a competitive application, because it's all on a scoring criteria. So if we have Burbank, maybe 10% of that land mass in that township would be covered.
Would be or would not be?
Would be covered. And like I said, I'm not saying Burbank is that way, that it's only 10%. I'm just picking on one, because we do have some
Please
townships.
proceed.
If I may continue, and is that part that wouldn't be covered, is it the specific part that has that higher concentration of homes in that you have to be careful with?
Yes, yeah. So basically, a lake area, typically lake areas are heavily concentrated. A lot of those areas tend to get removed because we have to keep those numbers down.
Okay.
Yeah.
And do businesses have an impact as far as limitations that it might give you? And then I'll keep going with the questions if I may, Mr.
Please
Chair.
proceed.
What's the workaround for that? Because our goal has always been to make sure we cover the last mile, not just the first mile.
Yep, exactly. Like we were talking on the break there are limitations to all of these programs. And what fits this funding vehicle being Reconnect, the next funding vehicle may be different so that we can close those gaps. Now, with that said, if we're successful with Reconnect, then we'll be talking again future as far as utilizing some of the county ARPA funds. What can we do to get to that last mile to take care of all of, let's just, for example, again, using Burbank Township to cover 100% of all of the residential homes and businesses within Burbank Township.
When will you know the area that you'll be able to cover? After you know if your application is successful?
No, I know what area we can cover right now. I do
Okay.
know that, but I can't share that
You can't
until
share.
our application is in and we're past the challenge process here.
And then you'll be able to share it.
Exactly. Yep. Then I can break down and have all the lines. I know exactly where that is. I have to have that information in order to get the application in. Yep.
Commissioner Anderson, yeah.
So then, my question then would be, in my area, we own land along Highway 7. And over the years, and I've told this over and over again, so people here are probably going, here he goes again, but we've had several fiber optic lines going by and we never were able to hook up. And I just look at it because, each fiber line, they got different grants to, state or federal or whatever it was. I know one was the library system, but we couldn't hook up to it. Is there a plan with what you are doing so that you can put down one fiber cable and with the idea in mind that maybe you'll be expanding into some of these lake regions or higher populated regions in the
Absolutely.
future?
Yep, absolutely.
address
Everything
that
that we build is scalable. So looking at this, keeping it within reason, financially, we're building today to be able to serve tomorrow.
Okay,
That
because
is-
that's one of my main concerns. Like most expensive part is putting it in the ground, right?
It is, yep.
Yeah, so they could have saved, we could have saved a lot of money if everybody could have gotten together and just done one
Yep.
bigger line all at once.
And a lot of the times what you see with those lines, say down 7, I'm not going to say because I don't know specifically,
Yep.
but typically where they don't offer distribution, customers, fiber to the home, that's transport. So they're trying to get from point A to point B. It's a heavy, a high count fiber that's in the ground simply for transport. It's not meant for distribution, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Commissioner Emdek.
Kind of a follow-up to that and my earlier question. So once you learn of the outcome of the application, wouldn't it be more efficient to, at that point, have the conversation with us about ARPA dollars to immediately go after those spots that didn't qualify for the Reconnect grant because of
Yep.
population restrictions? Because it would seem like it's more efficient to do it when you're in the area doing the plowing than to come back for
Yeah.
it.
So let me circle back a little bit just so that I can take out some confusion. All right. So application deadline is March 9th. We have to be submitted by then. There's a 45-day window. Once the application past March 9th, 45-day window for a challenge process. Once we're out of that 45-day window, at that point, then I can share with you, everyone here, exactly the areas that we're talking about. So I'm guessing you guys know what a PFSA is, the proposed funded service area. That is the area that we're trying to get reconnect dollars for, grant funds for. Then there's the NFSA, the non-funded service area. Those are areas where we will get reconnect dollars to connect the PFSAs, because there's going to be roads that we have to go down to get this Swiss cheese connected to this Swiss cheese, you know, to use that analogy. So that NFSA, the fiber route going through there, we can get funding, but we can't get funding for the homes that are off of that. That's where we can work, you know, with Candy Ojai on ARPA funds, and then expand even further in reaching 100% of these townships.
My question is as much to the timing of that. You know, would it be done in conjunction with the, I forget the acronyms you use, the ones that qualify and the ones that don't qualify? Would you do that at the same time, or would
Absolutely.
you
If
come
we can
back
pull
2
things-
years later or
Yep,
something?
absolutely. If we can pull things together, as soon as we know where we're at with, once we're out of this challenge process, then that's when I'm gonna call it moving into phase 2, to where we can start working together and see what the county is willing to do with those ARPA funds. So then we can just roll that essentially into the scope, because it's a lot cheaper for all of us if we are out there one time rather than circling back.
Yep.
You know.
Thank you.
Does that help
Yep.
clarify? Okay.
Any further questions from anybody? Yes, please. Normally we don't, but you're part of this, that's for sure. Please continue.
Has Reconnect told a date that they would do awards?
No, and with this extension, I have not heard if that's moved out by the same amount of time or not. We were expecting to hear August-ish timeframe. I'm fully expecting we're gonna be into September now with this delay. Our application alone is 90 pages long. So if you have multiple providers out there across the nation putting these in, I spent 2 hours last night just reviewing ours. So, you know, somebody to really dig in and understand it, it's gonna take time. There's no doubt.
Ms. Small, you're a very important part of this discussion. Thank you for, any other questions you have? Okay.
So nothing, Mr. Chair,
Please, yeah.
so nothing would happen in this construction season?
No. Earliest that I'm looking at construction, let's say we're awarded in September, it's going to be probably June, July next year before we're able to even start construction. Yeah. By the time we get through the red tape, you know, getting everything taken care of with USDA, contracts in place and material order, design, full-blown design, it will be mid-23 at the earliest.
Please.
So for the rest of this board, and those who are going down to the Capitol this week, tonight, to our legislative conference, these delays, whether it's for border-to-border grant notifications, or we just got the NTI notification, we've lost the whole construction season, and ARPA dollars need to be spent by the end of '24 in construction and government. That time goes by really, really fast. So we need to make sure that we communicate the urgency of this to our legislators over the next couple days.
Very
Yep.
good point.
I agree.
Further questions, comments from anybody? What an excellent discussion we've had. I'm so glad you came and really appreciative of being part of this. 3 years ago, we had no idea that we'd be this far into this broadband. And it's been our goal here for Candy County to get as much covered as possible, because here's some opportunities and they seem to keep building on each other.
Yeah.
So I appreciate what you're doing and your organization, and we'll be touching bases, it sounds like, fairly soon, and getting updates, further updates as we progress. And if nothing else, all right.
Thank you, Luke.
Thank you.
Very much for coming.
Nice job.
A nice meeting you too. So.
Yeah, likewise.
Mel, did you?
Not yet.
Not yet? Oh, okay. I just saw you were back here. All right. We'll be moving on with our agenda. I'd like to call on Candy County Administrator, Mr. Kleindahl, and you have an administrative update to talk about
We're already there.
redistricting options. But meantime, we have to get you all unplugged and get your information with you. Thank you again, Luke. Appreciate it. Thanks, Connie, for coming. You bet. Good morning, Mr. Kleindahl, again.
Good morning, everybody, Mr. Chair, Commissioners, members of the public watching. My name is Larry Kleino. I'm the Canada County Administrator. Just want to continue our process, educational process on redistricting. We had our informational meeting on February 23rd at 6 PM, which we showed several different maps. We had maps of the city of Wilmer, with the commissioners' districts within the city. And then we also had two options for possible Kennewick County districts. And the difference is that in District 5, one map showed District 5 taking St. John's, Pennock, and Mamre Township, along with the current district that they have. The other option, which was brought up at our last meeting, which I thought was an excellent proposal, has District 5 only taking St. John's and Pennock and leaving Mamre in its current District 3. So those are the two options that are out there. It's all about conversations. And so you, as members of the public that are watching today, that if you have any thoughts or ideas or any comments you'd like to make, please submit those comments to the Auditor Treasurer's Office or myself. And if you want more information regarding our redistricting information, we have a whole bunch of information on our website. It talks about what redistricting is, kind of walks through each one of our board meetings that we started in January that we just kind of build on. So it's kind of like a history lesson each week and kind of our proposals. So I'm not going to go into more details. We talked about the information, but I did want to, for the public's sake that didn't probably see the February 23rd meeting, we did add that option. It was discussed at our last meeting as an option. Yeah, Kennewick County's public hearing on our redistricting will be held on April 5th at 10 a.m. And that'll be an opportunity for you to come and talk about the redistricting plans. And then the board will close the hearing, and then they will make a decision of what they're going to do. They have to have that decision made by April 26th. And so filing for the offices and stuff starts February 17th. So we're on a tight window, but we've been planning, we're prepared, and we're ready to move forward. Any questions about redistricting?
Okay, Commissioner Gardner.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Larry, just to reiterate something that we visited about briefly at the informational meeting last week. All of the work that's been done on redistricting to this point in time has all been done at the staff level between the city and the county.
That is correct.
And I think it's important for folks to know out there that we as elected officials are not involved in that part of the process.
That is correct. And the reason is for that, so it doesn't look like a commissioner or a city council person is trying to adjust their district lines to favor them. It just keeps it neutral. But the full board does, and the city council they will have a vote on it. The final vote comes to you guys. But the plans have been developed by staff. So thank you for that reminder.
Thank you.
And I believe that at the last, Mr. Kleindahl, last board meeting we had too, we had a discussion about option A and B. And maybe we can continue that discussion a little bit today if anybody had any other comments. Is that what you want to talk about?
Sure, if you want to discuss those. I really like option B. If you look at the numbers that you put through, I think it allows for each commissioner to spread out some of the mileage within the district. And I know that's not the reason we do it. We don't do it for the miles, we do it for the people you represent. But if you can do that and make that happen, it sure does make sense. But any comments?
Any comments from anybody?
Well, I thank Dwayne for
Commissioner
bringing up the Mamre Township separation. It brings me a lot closer to the number that we're looking to get. And I think it makes the most sense. And
You too.
it doesn't, and Dwayne don't have to drive through another whole section of the township.
Commissioner Anderson.
I do have one question. I think it was brought up at the last meeting, the February 23rd meeting, when the city of Wilmer has to be done, or are they done?
So the city of Wilmer has to do their wards and precincts before they're done. Their hearing, I believe, is it March 8th? Next month,
That's coming up.
Yep, they'll have their.
We have to wait for them to be.
We cannot do anything until there is their public hearing and they are done.
Yep.
So the statute states once they are completed, and they have to be completed by the end of March, and then we get our opportunity to put our plan together, and we have to be done by the end of April.
Now, if they were to get challenged, then that would push us back, or are we waiting till after that period is over?
No, it would, I know it's recommended that all filings, if there's a challenge, by May 10th. I'm not sure if that includes the city of Wilmer as well. I know for the county, it's May 10th.
Okay.
I'm not, I
We have to
can't,
be done by May 10th. with-
well,
or-
they
or
can challenge, they'd have to
Okay.
challenge it by May 10th.
I see.
We would be done hopefully by the end of April,
Yeah.
and then they would have,
We have to get done before any filing can start, because the state has to come up, or they have to come out with the maps of the new districts, right?
right.
Yeah, okay.
Any other questions or comments from anybody? No, well taken.
It's been a good
And
process,
just-
you know, the thing is, I think, for those members who are watching today on TV, we are trying to put the information out there. We've been talking about this since January, and so the public can have an opportunity to ask questions and stuff. And so I really appreciate that, the opportunity to really kind of lay this out, and this is something that happens once every 10 years.
Yes. So I'd like to restate what you said. On April 5th, we're going to have a public hearing in this room at 10 o'clock, and the commissioners are here to listen. And we would like the public to come and let us know what they think about the planning done so far. And shortly after that, we are going to close that public hearing meeting and discuss this further as a board. So, all right. Well, thank you, Mr. Kleindall, for that update. We do have,
Just to clarify.
oh, yes, please.
You mentioned the public hearing on April 5th. That's going to be part of our board meeting?
Yes.
Yes.
Regular board meeting.
Good point. Okay. Mr. Kleindall, you had one other thing. Mr. Oden is ready to go, but
Go ahead, finish. No.
proceed, you want to proceed with yours?
Okay, I can just quick do the administrative update.
Sure.
On the administrative update, we have a township resolution for a trail. The letter came in, just came in on Monday, and they, because of the timeline, I'd like to present this. It says, please accept this letter of support on behalf of Canada County Board of Commissioners for your support on the grant application put forth by New London Township. This application is for a short, off-the-road pedestrian and bike trail extension. This extension will serve nearly 200 nearby homes, many with children. The 153rd Avenue extending west from Glacier Lake Trails is heavily utilized route by pedestrians, bikers, and autos. Separating the routes for bikers and pedestrians will make this route safer place. It will also serve as a safe route to schools. Tourism is the second leading industry in Kennewick County and a primary economy for the communities of New London and Spicer. The COVID pandemic hit tourism regions hard. This investment will help rebuild the local economy. Thank you for your considerations. Mr. Emdike, anything you would like to add to that?
I would just, I'd make a motion as part of my comment to present this letter of support that I live in that neighborhood, and I may sound like a homer, but that is a very dangerous spot because of the amount of traffic. I think Mel can tell you the number of cars that go in and out of 153rd every day, and between bicyclists and walkers, and unfortunately, they don't always wear the bright green clothing to stand out. So this will be very helpful. The township's been working on this for about 3 years now.
Okay. A motion by Commissioner Emdek. Is there a second?
I'll second.
A second by Commissioner Gardner. Any further discussion? And this is a letter of support, and this is reference to legislation, right? not?
Actually, it's a letter of support to Parks and Trails.
Okay,
So it's no bonding money, it's part of Parks and Trails. They have a pool of money that they can draw from. But it's competitive, there'll be other applications from other areas.
okay, thank you for that.
I just have one thing.
Yeah, Commissioner Anderson.
Another comment. But I was surprised, when door knocking and stuff, people in my area, even though these trails might not be in my district, that they're supportive of these because they can load up their bikes and they can go up there and spend a day and, discover new areas of the county, and they can enjoy it too. So they just have to drive a little bit, but they do enjoy it. So it's not just the 200 people that live in that area.
Appreciate that, thank you.
Very good. Any other questions? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Pose same sign. Pass unanimously. Thank you.
So just one more administrative update. We have not been officially notified that the NTIA grant we did not receive. We did see the press release that was out there, and Candy County is not on there. I did call them and left them a message and say, it's a heck of a way to find out that we're not recipient of the grant, and please call us and let us know. And I have not heard anything yet, so as things become official, I will give you an update.
Not good news, but thank you for being on top of that in the update on that, Mr. Kleindall. At this point, I'll call on Kennewick County Public Works Director, Mr. Odens.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, members of the board, we were able to get through the bid tab checks, and
Nice job.
they are going to be awarded as read, so project number CS22 for reflectorized pavement marking is going to be awarded. My recommendation is to award it to Traffic Marking Services out of Maple Lake for $106,900. And the chloride application would CA22, it's my recommendation to award that to Crow River Construction out of New London for $193,200.
Okay.
So I don't know if you want to do that in one motion or two, but
I believe one motion would work.
Just mention both of them.
Yeah. So I'll entertain
I'll move the recommendation of staff to accept both bids.
both bids. And a
I'll
second by
second that.
Commissioner Nissen. Okay. Any further discussion of the bids? Well done, and thank you, Mr. Odens. And I'll call for the vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Pass unanimously. Thank you. At this point, we're coming to the end of our meeting, and we'll just kind of proceed with any calendar updates, comments. We got the legislative conference coming up at the end of the day, and I will start asking now if there's nothing else for the contacts and appointments. Let's have some committee updates, and I would like to start with.
We do have a committee update. Steve, I don't know if you want to do it on your time here for the committee update, or appointments for the open spot for a committee. At the last board meeting, I brought up about the childcare committee.
Oh,
Yes.
And you guys wanted to wait until Commissioner Gardner received?
yes, we
came
did.
back?
Thank you for
So,
reminding.
I'm sorry, I didn't, so Commissioner Gardner is willing to serve on the childcare committee with the Mid-Minnesota and the EDC that I've.
Yeah, and I'd like to speak to that for just a moment. I was brought into the conversation last fall, actually, about this, and I appreciate everybody waiting for me to get back here on this and be able to let you know that I'm more than happy to rejoin that discussion. Particularly as it surrounds the reboot of the Rural Child Care Innovation Program.
Okay. And we have to approve that appointment, and as the chair, I'll move on that motion to appoint Commissioner Gardner. Is there a second?
I'll second.
A second by Commissioner Indek. Any further question? I'd like to thank you for stepping up for that. I'll call for the vote then. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Pass unanimously. Thank you. Now proceed further with your committee report, if you will.
That was the primary thing that I wanted to cover. I did want to mention briefly quite several committee meetings over the last several weeks. Supporting Hands, Nurse Family Partnership, County Tourism, Housing and Redevelopment Authority, Drug Free Coalition, Humane Society Board, and Executive Committee. They just finished up their, I believe, a successful, I believe, 16th annual Save Our Tails event, the primary fundraiser for the organization. And we had a West Central Industries Board meeting yesterday. Finances are beginning to come back reasonably well, and there are a number of people that are serving is those numbers are going up. So that looks good. Childcare and housing were two of the primary things that I wanted to be able to address in my time of service here on the board. And to that effect, I appreciate the appointment to the Rural Child Care Group. Working with some local nonprofits and other entities, University of Minnesota Extension, I believe we're going to be able to start having some enhanced discussions along the way about housing in general and what types of opportunities there might be for not just government but the nonprofit sector, developers large and small, start having a more holistic conversation about what can we do now with what we have available to be able to help enhance housing opportunities, especially for folks who are underhoused or at risk of housing insecurity. And I'm really looking forward to the opportunity when we're down in St. Paul. General Government Committee, which I serve on, is going to hear from our own Rhonda Otteson, Director of the Minnesota Coalition for the Homeless. And she'll be presenting to us, I believe, the day after tomorrow at our committee meeting. And look forward to bringing back some of that discussion as well. That's all I have.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for the interest in that. Commissioner Nissen.
Okay, I had a kind of a reprieve from meetings the last 2 weeks, but we had a Woodland Centers meeting. Their numbers are down because of COVID and so forth, and we're going to be approaching a different way of constructing our billing going into the year, and I don't know the acronym for that, but it looks like that'll be a much better picture for us going forward financially. Chippewa River Watershed is just getting started on their One Watershed, One Plan. We met last Friday, I think it was last Friday, yes, and in Glenwood, and had a nice discussion. The Houston Engineering was there, and we set the stage. As you probably, most of you know, the TAC committee will be the advisory committee, and so if any of you have, well, I guess I'm the only one really in the watershed so far anyway. He might end up there too eventually, but identify problem areas for Houston Engineering to take a closer look at and those kinds of things. Prime West has had now 2 emergency meetings, one regarding the illegal issues with the procurement. One was to suggest to DHS that we have mediation. They rejected that immediately. So now we're going forward with legal action to point out and hopefully get the legislature as well to live up to their county-based purchasing laws that have been passed and are on the books. But that's more to come later on that. Probably it'll be a drawn-out thing, but as someone pointed out, the legislature has passed the law. It's now supposedly the executive branch, being the DHS, they're supposed to execute what the legislature passes. So that's where we're at there. CPT, we met yesterday. Things are going good there. We have we're doing well. We may add Pope County. They're talking about it right now, and their board has to decide. That they're very positive, and it looks like that's going to happen. But that's all I have.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner Nissen. Commissioner Anderson.
Okay, I had several meetings. One of the first ones since our last board meeting was the South Fork Crow River watershed plan or type of meeting that we're doing. We picked Houston Engineering as the the lead engineering firm to kind of head that project and start getting things going. It was a relatively short meeting, so we drive all the way to Hutch and then meet for about half hour, 45 minutes, and you're done. But so Zoom meetings were kind of good that way. You didn't have to, for a short meeting, you didn't have to drive very far. But now we're starting to meet in person with all these. Then on the 17th, I had a Pioneer Land Library meeting, and it was pretty much just a routine type of meeting, going through expenses and revenue and stuff for the library system. But then they were also talking, they have an issue now. One thing was you learn all these things when you get on these. You don't really think of all the things with the library. You think you just go check out books and you return them and you don't want to pay the fine. But you have other things that are going on behind the scenes, and they have actually a delivery service. And the people that are delivering, they came with a kind of a large quote, so they're looking for different size quotes that deliver books and different supplies and whatever they need between all the 32 different libraries that are in the Pioneer Library system. So then on the 18th, we met, or a bunch of us went to, they kind of had a little open house for us county commissioners for UCAP, and we got a tour of the Head Start, or the Bright Light Learning Center in Wilmer here, which is the former Candia County or Candia High Power Co-op building, or their main headquarters, which was sitting vacant for about 12 years, as far as I understand, or underused or whatever. And now the UCAP is using it for preschool age kids to go in there to get a little kickstart on learning, and then also, I guess it would be for parents that want to go work that are below the poverty level. And we also met, we met, I guess it was informational, which was the redistricting informational meeting. That was on the 23rd. And then on the 24th, I had a UCAP board meeting again, and that's where they wanted me to talk about our little tour that we had the other day in Wilmer. So other than that, it was pretty much a routine meeting, so that's
Okay.
it.
Thank you, Commissioner Anderson. Commissioner Emdek?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. So since our last meeting, I had a Prairie Woods Environmental Learning Center governing board meeting. I'm going to circle back to that as I get through with the sort of a litany here. Then on 2/16, I attended the New London City Council. 2/18, I went to the UCAP tour, as most of you did. We've had some conversations internally about some other things that the chair and the vice chair were involved in. Redistricting meeting that you all went to last Friday was the Association of Minnesota Counties monthly board meeting. And then, of course, we have last night was a Glacial Lake Sanitary Sewer and Water District meeting. And then the legislative conference that we already mentioned earlier, we'll be going down to. But on 3/14, I'll remind you, all of us, that is the annual township meeting. That's the one that's at the Legion this year.
In Wilmer.
Yeah. So be sure to, and that's at 8:30?
March 14th, 8:30 morning.
Check-ins at 8.
Okay. And then just going back to the Prairie Woods Environmental Learning Center, that property is owned by the county, as we all know. And it has been in CRP in the past. And we have basically termed out of eligibility for payments on that. We can enroll it, but we can't get paid for it. And so the recommendation is that we don't enroll it in CRP because it will limit some of the restoration work that is being done out there on the Savannah. And so I wasn't even going to bring it up, but I felt it was necessary that we should know about it. To me, it just makes no sense to re-enroll that in.
It's nothing that it would come back to the board for a vote at all. It's just,
Right.
just for information, yes. Okay.
That's it.
All right, thank you. Well, it's pretty obvious that we do a lot more than just committee meetings. We've had a lot of meetings, and we overlap on a lot of meetings too, and especially some of these issues are quite important, and so the alternate to these committees are also involved in these decisions. But I want to thank everybody, and we certainly got a lot on our plate for our legislative conference coming up, meeting with our local representatives, and meeting with the governor, and and I'm looking forward to our gathering down there. So at this point, I'm going to adjourn the meeting. If anybody else has anything that they want to comment on? Hearing none, the Kansas County Board of